Hey, ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at the event hosted by Chinese Institute of Engineers, USA, San Francisco Bay Area chapter. My name is Wilson Yin. I'm the chair of EECS group in the CIE-SF chapter. So this is my honor to have a chance to host this event. So before we start this event, I would like to introduce a little bit about the history of CIE. So actually CIE was established in Cornell University in 1917. So believe it or not, it's over 100 years. And it was created by Zhang Tianyou and Lin Pengxun. So we already celebrate the 100th anniversary in Bay Area in 2017. Along the past more than 20 years, actually there are more than one CIE chapter was established across the United States. Of course, Bay Area is one of them. And actually, CIE-SF Bay Area chapter was established in 1979. So we have established our 40th anniversary in Bay Area in 2019. So you can see that we have a many famous president. For example, the second president of the CIE-SF Bay Area is Mr. Lee, Boarding Lee. So we have a very long and gory history. So everybody know we have the pandemic right now. But actually before pandemic, CIES is focused on networking people, networking community together. So we share lots of our activities here. You can see the power of the networking. We organize the hiking or the dinner or lunch or even bowling game. Our purpose is try to have the community member try to interact with each other to create and strengthen our community, because we believe only when we grow our community, we can help more people. And when we help more people, we will increase our visibility. So let the people in the community realize that the purpose of CIE is to help the Asian America. So please follow us on this social media, including the WeChat, Line, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Then this is a QR code in this the page. If you don't have time, don't worry about that. We're gonna have another page at the very end of the event. We will leave there for you to scan the QR code to join us. So this is just a history of the CIE, right? Maybe you are curious, how about now? So let me introduce our current CIE-SF chapter president, Mr. Brian Penn. So please, Brian Penn. I think, Brian, you are muted yourself.
Okay. Hi, thanks Wilson's introduction. Yeah, it's very history, very detailed. And good evening. It's my pleasure to be here and welcome everyone to join CIE San Francisco chapter EECS webinar tonight. First, I want to thank speaker Dr. Steve Hwang, supporting us and preparing for tonight's event during his busy schedule. And I would like to thank all the attendees tonight joining us. And your attending is the biggest support that you give us. As everyone know that all of activity moving to online after COVID. I still remember the last seminar in person was in 2019. It's about 2 years ago. I kind of miss that event during this pandemic year, and the CIE didn't slow down, and any activity. Actually, we host more event like AAEOI, Asian American Engineer of the Year, a world conference. It's one of the biggest national event, and we host online this year. We reach out more speakers and the audience. If you miss this event, you're still able to see on our YouTube site. You can get a lot of information from there. The mission and the goal of CIE San Francisco Bay Area chapter is to serve our communities. All of us are volunteers, and we hope to provide good program to helping people to gain their knowledge, not only on technical skill side, also on soft skill. CIE helped me to improving my connection, networking, to know more friends, and in the same field from different area, incorporate skill together, overcome the challenge, and the cross-functional teamwork. Those training and the practice help me on career developer, which I have never thought before when I joined CIE. That's why we come out today's topic to share the best for you, and we will provide more coming event in future, and I wish you will be benefit. Finally, I want to thank our new CIE EECS chair Wilson Yan, spent a lot of time and dedicated to work on today's program to present a new style for all of us. I hope you will be benefit. And also, I want to thank volunteer who work on backstage to support tonight's program. Please enjoy tonight's program. I wish you well and hope see you in person very soon. So I give backstage to Wilson.
Thank you very much, Brian. That's a great introduction and explained why we are doing this great program event. As Brian said that we already have a new style, like YouTube platform. It's different from the past. That's a new way we try to promote the CIE and try to help the community. So after we already discussed a little bit about the history, right? So then what happened to the EECS group? As I mentioned before, this EECS group is one of the group under CIE-SF chapter. So what's the mission and vision of the EECS group? EECS group vision is to grow the EECS community, also serve the EECS community. We want to connect and get the community stronger. We want to invite more and more people who like to help to each other to join us, to join the CIE EECS community. So based on this vision, I will have 3 different kind of programs series in the EECS group. As you can see in these slides, there are 3 branches. First one is coding study group. This program is what we designed to serve the Bay Area engineers who are looking for software engineer position. As you may know, software program engineers actually very popular in the Bay Area. So in order to serve more and more people who want to switch to the soft programmer position, or want to look for a new job, new opportunity, we create this program, and we want more and more people to get together. This is kind of like a starting program. And we gather a bunch of people who want to help other people looking for job, try to teach them how to interview in a software programmer, try to teach them how to review their resume, try to even give them a mock interview for their software, the testing, the questions. You know, there's a very practical program which we already designed just for serving that specific group. Second is technical series. That's what we have today. The purpose of a technical series is trying to educate and share the technical knowledge to the EECS community. And this is kind of webinar, means that we're gonna, like today, Dr. Steve Hwang gonna share his own personal story about how he developed himself from engineer all the way to the electrical engineering management. So this is how we try to share the good story, Asian American success story to all the community. Our purpose is try to encourage the Asian American community that we can do better. And the third one we call the leadership lecture. This is a very unique the program we designed for the people who really want to help and join our community. So we believe people like to help people. We believe EECS group can get stronger. We believe people want to connect to each other. So we designed this leadership lecture, which only for the community members. So later on, we're gonna have the survey for all of you. We really want to know if you like our program, if you like our vision, if you like to grow the community with us. Please just finish the survey and let us know that you want to help us, we help each other. Then this program is designed for you. It's invite only for the community member. And we will design specific leadership training, hopefully to help people to grow even more. So this is the ongoing event. Coding study group, as I mentioned, our purpose is to help all levels of programming languages and skills. And also we have a guest speakers to share experience with successful and unsuccessful software job hunting. That if you think that's good for you, please join us the Zoom meeting. That's in pandemic, every Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m. Pacific time. Of course, I share some photos here. You can see that before pandemic, we do get in together, really have people, experienced people who already got a successful job hunting to share his experience, and also some experienced engineer to share how they do the coding, and even teach us how to practice, how to pass the interview questions. So very practical. So this one, what I meant is leadership lecture. Actually, that's the next event we designed for the community member only. So it's a little bit different. It's not like a webinar. It's more like a fireside chat. So it provides opportunity to have a close interaction for the speaker and the community members. So instead of just like a one-way communication, it's kind of like a multiple way. So you will have a chance to speak by yourself directly to the speaker we invite, and they're gonna share that the really practical skill tips, how they get better in their career, how they become the community member, how they serve, how they help people. So the next event for the leadership lecture will be in next year, January, very last week, and the detail, the information about a date will be announced later. Again, that's a Zoom meeting. So before I go into introduce our current speaker, I would like to just have a promotion to add an event for our another group, 3D printing group. Please stay tuned. We're gonna have another speaker, Dr. C.D. Gao, have his 3D printing webinar in the 3 weeks in the week of December 2nd. Okay, so I cannot just express enough about this speaker because I personally know this speaker very long time, many years from now since I moved to Bay Area a couple years ago. So actually, the guest speaker is Dr. Steve Hwang, and he is my mentor since I came to the Bay Area. So actually, I personal career got a lot of impact by my mentor, Steve Hwang. So Steve Hwang is like me, is a first generation immigrant to United States. And he experienced something as most of us, or many of us experienced that just new to this environment. Actually, we may not have a perfect English in the beginning. We may under the networking. How can we just try to get ourselves involved, or even part of this community? So Steve pretty much will share what he knew, what he learned in his speech. And actually, Dr. Hwang got his PhD in 1990, and he already became vice president for the R&D department in Seagate since 2006 for more than 14 years. And he was once voted the best Seagate manager, and he had lots of passion about the leadership training. So you can see that in the slides, he personally have 3 Chinese book Chinese written book to teach people how to do the measurement, how to grow your leadership. And he also has so much passion that he even has created his own nonprofit organization. It's called Connecting Taiwan. The purpose of this nonprofit organization is to create lots of education material. The purpose is to help all the companies or business from, in this case, from Taiwan, who want to move to United States to create a new business, how to fight in this market, how to increase market share. It's like a major league here to win the business. So that's a very amazing story. I would really want the audience to have a chance to hear from Dr. Steve Hwang. So let us welcome Dr. Steve Hwang.
Hello, hey, good evening, Wilson and Brian. Thank you, CIE. It's so honored to be here to share with you. Today, I'm going to share with you some of experience, how I come here, study, and then work here, and then as an engineer, then how to become the management. I think my experience is not unique. I think all of you, I believe you all can relate to my experience, and you probably have your own story also. But anyway, let me try to share my story, and then later on we can discuss. One thing, maybe before I start my presentation, if you have any question in the end, we're going to have a Q&A section. If you have any question, please just type in the YouTube so we can go to prepare for it. So let me start with introduce myself. I'm Steve Hwang. 我的 Chinese name 叫做黄国兴。Okay, so you know, I went to Cheng-Kung University in Taiwan, and I don't know, do you know the background about our education? Basically, it's very difficult to get into a university, especially national university. But then when you go to university, we call university 有你玩4年了。What this means is you don't study much. So during the time when I was in the Cheng-Kung University, basically, my schedule was like I play rugby. I was the college rugby player. I practice in the morning. I don't really go to class. Then I went to the dormitory to just sleep. Then during the night, I would go to just, in that time, I don't in the disco was very popular. Saturday night fever, jump Chipotle, basically go to dancing party. So I don't really study much. So everything was good. But then when in the junior year, I met my girlfriend, who is become my wife. And actually she was from a very good family in Thailand. So when I dating her, then I went to see her parents. Her dad was asking me about what are you going to do after you graduate. I say, hey, I'm going to probably try to get a job, and then maybe after work a few years, maybe I will go to get a master's degree. But then he said, no, you're going to go to USA to study. I said, no, I'm not going to go to USA. And then he said, no, you will. Actually, I cannot, because my grade was so bad. When I was in the Cheng-Kung University, I was just trying to be 60分, just try to pass. So my GPA was like 2 point something. But then she said, hey, he said, you have to go to there. Otherwise, my daughter is not going to marry you. And that's the reason I started to prepare and come to USA. So we married 1 week, my wife and I, and then we flew from Taiwan to USA. I still remember I don't know how you experience, but my experience, I still remember the memory actually still very vivid. We flew from Taoyuan International Airport to Los Angeles. So during this flight, actually it was okay. You can still see a lot of Chinese, Taiwanese speak Mandarin, no problem. And then after did a connection from Los Angeles to Salt Lake City, which is University of Utah, I'm going to go to study there. And everything is different. And I still remember that me and my wife, we were sitting, and during the time, 87, the airplane was quite empty. And the flight attendant actually come to talk to me and my wife. She basically say, do you need a blanket? Okay, I understand blank. What is a blanket? So my wife and I, we look at the flight attendant, and then she started to realize pretty quick to say, okay, so she opened the over bin, and then get a blanket for us. So that's the first English I learned in USA. Blanket is multi. Then that's how we flew to University of Utah. And then just like students, my wife and I, we was living in the dormitory. It's in the beginning, it's a cultural shock. For example, if you pick up the phone, usually you use Chinese say "wei." What you heard about hello, you don't know what you're going to say, right? And if you go to like a fast food restaurant, you order the meal, and they ask you about coleslaw, mashed potato. They say a whole bunch of things, and everything say yes. And then when you got your order, then you tell the people say that's not what I ordered, but then he or she said no, that's exactly what you ordered. So it's a struggling. It's a struggling. And I still remember one story was quite interesting. One of my friends, American friend, actually, I think a second year, and asked me and my wife, say, hey, let's go to a restaurant. I want to treat you to eat Mexican food. I did not know what's a Mexican food. So we went to a restaurant, we ate it. It was so bad. This Mexican food, if you notice, melt cheese. This melt cheese, the smell, I mean, where I came from in Taiwan, that's how they feed the pig, right? I mean, it smells like the food you feed the pig. So I would think about how can people eat the food like that? But they're very interesting. I mean, right now, actually, I like Mexican food. I probably eat even not once a week, maybe once a month. And they just, the experience was quite interesting and wonderful, right? I mean, you're cultural shock, you embrace, and then in the end, you enjoy it. And I think the journey to the USA is such a amazing experience because it's so much excitement, and the shock, but in the end, it's really adventure and enjoyment. So I was lucky. I spent 3 years. I got a PhD from University of Utah, and I was so lucky. I come to Silicon Valley, and that's the other story. In that time, I had no idea about the Silicon Valley. I thought was indeed, if you know the Silicon Valley called San Jose, I did not even know the San Jose. So when I talked to my advisor, say, hey, I got a job. The job probably in the very remote area because the place called St. Joe's. So my advisor say, I never heard about St. Joe's. And then so I show him the the offer and the thing out, and he said, wow, Hwang, in that time they call me Hwang, say, actually you're gonna go to Silicon Valley, San Jose. And that's how I come to San Jose. And because I graduated from University of Utah, I cannot get a job from the big company. In that time, the companies like IBM, like HP, like Sun Microelectronics, even Japanese company. But I just cannot. So I joined the one startup company, very small. And in that time, I needed a green card. And so I was staying in this startup company for about maybe 18 months, got a green card. As soon as I got a green card, I joined the other company. And then I joined the Seagate in 1993, December. And actually, in that time, I was the first line manager already. So how I become the first line manager, it's just, with a hard skier, work hard. Sometimes I even work until midnight and around experience myself, and then go home, sleep a few hours, and then go to 9 o'clock meeting to present to manager, to upper manager. And that's how I did that. But in that time, I also realized I had a problem because, I mean, the time is not enough. And I was just the first line manager. I only worked about 3 years. And actually, when I was managing the people, the only managerial experience I had was when I was in Taiwan, I was in Army, and I was second lieutenant. And so I was working with one of the technician, her name is Melinda. And my managerial style was, hey, just like an Army, you do exactly what I told you to do. And that's how I managed her. But I did not know actually, she went to complain to HR. So my boss actually come to talk to me to say, hey, Steve, you cannot manage people like that. I mean, this is not Army, this is not military. And so it was good. I asked my manager what I can do. And then my manager told me, say, oh, I think you need to start to learn about the managerial skill. Actually, he recommended me to read the 1 Minute Manager. I don't know if you got a chance, you can go Google and then to learn the soft skill. So that's how I start to transition myself to say, wait a minute, how from the engineer, from my skill set, how can I transition and develop myself to different skill set? That's what I start to realize. If you look at our so-called personal value, company value you, or how people going to promote you. Actually, it really depends on this transfer function. Since we all engineer, we like the transfer function. And the personal value is really the hard skill plus soft skill time AMP. AMP is extremely important. What is AMP? AMP is attitude, it's mindset, it's passion, right? So if you are entry-level professional, especially first job, the hard skill is extremely important. Just like I told you, because I graduated from University of Utah, it's really difficult for me to get into the top-notch company because they look at your resume, they interview. So it's really, in the beginning, it's all hard skill. Hard skill is your degree, your professional, where you graduate, and what you study, and then maybe language. But then after that, it's really all soft skill and AMP. So what is soft skill? Soft skill is communication, is execution, is strategic thinking, is leadership, management, and the AMP I mentioned is already, how can you have a can-do attitude, positive mindset, and then passion. So today, that's what I like to share with you. Indeed, all these soft skill and AMP, we can develop that. Give you one example. Probably the most important thing is communication. We all communication, and your communication all the time. But for me, actually, when I was from Taiwan, communication was never been important thing. School don't teach you about that. But I use the Dragon Ball as example. I mean, I don't think you got a chance to compete in Dragon Ball. Actually, in Taiwan, I did that. So if you want to win the Dragon Ball, you need to have people can steer the ball very good. You need to have good people, strong, can roll the ball. But the important thing, you need a drummer. It's like communicate, the whole ball can move to the same direction. And I want to share one experience with you about communication. Actually, many of you probably have some experience like me. So when I was in the Seagate, I was almost like a second line manager. I was doing all the product development, and actually I was a new product development lead. So we have a group of people, maybe 3 to 4. So you have the, like myself, a new product lead, and you have the other program manager. Actually, her name is Marine. She's really good. And then we have quality people, and then maybe we have the other one is like R&D people. Technically, actually, I'm probably most strong person. But the Marine class, the person actually, she's really good in communication. So when we go to customer visit, because my English, I always concerned about my English because the accent and so usually I don't talk much. And she's the one communicating with the customer. And so every single thing, customer will talk to her. And she always say really nicely. And everybody think she is a leader. But actually, I was a group leader. And even to the, my VP, my director, everybody think, she's the most important person because of communication. And I was very struggling. And until, we have the communication training. During the time, actually, in like 1997, the communication training, in the training you train you how to talk. And in the end of the training, we call it jump over the wall, which is in that time is very unique because they will pair you 2 person and then develop video, then they play the VCR directly, and everybody will critique the video. So in the end, actually, I was prepared with the Marine, and I was scared to death. I said I'm going to be in trouble because my English is not very good, my communication is not very good. But then during the time when we were preparing materials, it was interesting. What I found was, I was worried about English, but actually she was worried about how she looked, how she showed in the video. I knew that because she asked me, she basically complained, say, hey, they did not say they're going to take the video. I did not get my hair right, did not get my dress right. And I said, yeah, Marine, I don't think your hair is really good in the video. But then it suddenly gave me a lot of confidence to say, wait a minute, everybody worry about their weakness. And then, I was making the presentation, And in the end, it was interesting. Everybody critiqued my presentation. The audience actually give me a lot of positive feedback. They say, Steve, voice is strong. All the materials are really good. Deliver very positive message. The only negative thing they say, I didn't have enough eye contact with audience. They suggest me to have more contact with the audience. Nobody say about my English issue. And that's the one I started to realize. Actually, communication is really focused on your strength, and they're just aware of your weakness, but continue to practice. And the most important thing is confidence. So that's what the communication, and that's what I like to share with you. Then the other communication is important is especially if you start to grow in your career, how you going to inspire your team. Okay, everybody know about his football. Vincent Lombardi, he's really good to inspire the team. And I want to share one story with you, how you inspire your team. The story was, we have one site, they need to develop new product. And if they don't develop, this site is in Minneapolis. And if the product, they don't deliver successful, we basically going to shut down the site. So I assigned one leader, Abibi, to run the development. And so he asked me to give the team inspire the team. Basically, this is why I talked to Tim. I said, what are you going to do? The job you're going to do for next 3 months is going to affect 1,800 people's life. And they asked me, what do you mean? I said, well, we have 600 people in this site, and everybody support 3 people, average-wise. So it's 1,800. And so as soon as I said that, I know it's unbelievable. They said, we got it. And then, next time when I go to see them, I cannot believe they even get a sleeping bag in the side, because they say, hey, Steve, it's just so inspiring because our job is going to affect 1,800 people's life. We want to make sure we make a positive impact to that. That's what the so-called motivation and inspire people. Then the other one is how you develop so-called AMP. And by the way, I don't do in our career, when the people are looking for what kind of people they want, they're all looking for this 4E and 1P. I don't know what's a 4E and 1P. Some people will say E is education. Well, education is important, but it's not in the 4E and 1P. Some people say it's effort, how much effort you put there. Effort is also important, but it's not quite qualified to this 4E and 1P. So then the question is, what is 4E and 1P? 4E and 1P is 4E is energy. Everybody looking for people in high energy, especially in USA. If you remember when Donald Trump was campaign and with Jeb Bush, and he basically labeled Jeb Bush as a low energy, then wow, when the people put you label like that, and it's very difficult for people to feel you are a leader. And then the other one is energize, right? How you motivate the people want to work for you, and people like you to inspire them. And then the other one is execution, how to get the job done. And the last E is age. It's sometimes your courage to make a decision. Sometimes that decision could be very difficult, and especially all of you work in the high tech in Silicon Valley, whatever you do, I believe it's very stressful and a lot of time very tough. And then most important thing is how to keep your passion very, very high. What this means is every day, every morning you wake up, you cannot wait to wake up because you have so much thing you want to do. And that's what is the 4E and 1P. The question you will ask is, well, how can I develop that? And I'd like to share with you how I train myself, develop that. I use this one so-called the recharge triangle. Basically, how can you physically, emotionally, and also spiritually balance and continue to get better. Try to exercise every day. I wake up 5 o'clock in the morning. I go out to run, try to run 3 miles, and I exercise every day. You can do different things. Then after exercise, I shower, then I prepare to work. And then the other one is, always try to practice the so-called back to future, back to nature. What does it mean is, try to take a break, from your work. After a few hours, take a few minutes, go outside, relax, deep breathing. Think about what a good time. Like I would think about when I was in the college with my wife, how we dating, play rugby, and all this wonderful thing. The memory with the family and all this one is always really good. And then, the other one is try to develop the continual, never-ending personal improvement by reading and learning the different skills. Just like you come to this seminar, I think this is extremely important. And then also develop this so-called emotional supporting network. So what this mean is the people you can connect it, you can discuss good time or bad time. Like me is, my daughter, when they were young, they were just so wonderful to me. Really strong emotional supporting network. What this mean is I used to be doing all the new product qualification. Basically, I need to qualify 1 product probably per month. And the new product qualification is so important. If a new product does not qualify, company does not have revenue. And then so every time when I visit customer, always they critique me, or they critique the product. They would say this one is no good and not good. So I was very stressful, sometimes depressed. And when I came home, I would talk to my wife, my daughter, and they are always wonderful. My daughter would say, no, daddy, they are wrong. You are the best. Don't listen to them. We support you. Even though it's not true, but it's just so wonderful to hear about that. And there is a really, emotional, strong supporting network, and that is really good. Then, try to become a volunteer for good cause and contribute to community. When I was running the Seagate, we do a lot of things. We go to support the high school. We go to beach, clean the beach. We do build a bicycle. We have this rebuild together, basically for low income house. We go to do painting and to do all this kind of thing. And this kind of thing is really, you can do this and you can contribute back to organization. So really what I want to discuss this one with you is, we are talking about hard skill and the soft skill AMP. And so what do you want to develop that? Especially in the management and the leadership, which is we probably never been taught when we was in college, or even during our career, nobody really tell us we need to do that. But the important thing is management leadership is not born with. It's not that some people when they are nature leader. No, nobody is nature leader. Don't believe in any of that. Okay. But you can go to learn. You can go to strive for. Learn this kind of skill by look at other people who you invite, openly discuss this with them. I was very, very lucky. I have the 3 mentors or 贵人. I had Jerry Gambagi. Actually, he promoted me to become a VP. He has always teaching me, and he actually put me in the so-called executive growth path, and asked me about what I need to do, where I need to get better. And he basically said, hey, Steve, I want you to go to stay with the Seagate. I want you to go to run Fremont, but you need to go to do that. Then I had the other one, Kevin Isa. He actually did all the 360. I don't even know 360. 360 basically, he will survey you with your boss, with your peer, and the people report to you. Believe me, if you did this one, you would be so humble because people say a lot of bad things about you. And actually, after he did the 360 for me, when we sat down to discuss that, was interesting. I know my issue, right? I know my weakness because I'm impatient, I'm short tempo. Sometimes I could be a little bit rough. And so when I sat down with Kevin Isa, I say, hey, Kevin, I know where I need to improve. I know where my weakness. Actually, he said, no, I don't want to improve that. You know your weakness good, aware of your weakness. But everybody say the same thing. You can get the thing done. And that's your strength. I want you to go to maximize your strength by training 100 staff. If you can go to do that, Seagate or whatever place, if you can do that, that's how you maximize your strength. And that really teach me a lot about, what we should do. And then, last person, I worked for him for many years is Joe Weiss. He looked just like Santa. I mean, every time when I went to see him, because I report to him and during the product qualification, every time when we have issue, if I go to talk to him, I would say, hey, Joe, we have a problem. Even before I went to his office, he would hug me. And then when I say we have a problem, he would say, no, Steve, we don't have a problem because we have you. And go to do it, we trust you, we have faith in you, you can get everything done. And I said, no, Joe, we really have a problem because I think this one is so big. And then he would tell me, was to say, Steve, do you think that worry can help us to solve the problem? He said, if worry can solve the problem, then we should just sit down, you ask everybody, we just start to worry. Basically, he told me, no, worry is not going to help you to solve the problem, but do not worry about it, just go to do it. Has confidence in yourself, in your team, you can get the job done. And I learned a lot of this. And then, I learned from all these people, I admire them, and I practice on this. So because of this one, you can continue to learn. I think the people to be success, if you go look at, it's not what school you graduate, what kind of the discipline you have. I think the luck, people talking about, hey, this person is luck. No, I don't think it's luck. Luck is preparation. It's a meeting opportunity, and everybody will get the opportunity. And the question is, are you prepared? If you prepare, then they become a luck for you, and we continue to improve that. And then I think in the end, I want to encourage you. Okay, usually I say that to when I was running the Seagate, and I say to all the people, because everybody come to Silicon Valley like you are very special. I believe you are top 1%, probably even top 0.1%. You have special skill set. God give you the special gift. And that's the reason whatever you came from, you come to the best, most talent place in Silicon Valley. If you are top 1%, what we should do? We should do everything we can continue to improve so we can go to carry the other 99%. What does it mean is the other 99% may not be as fortunate, as high skills like we are. And for this community to become better, we are as 1% people. We need to go to help them, to carry them. And I think if we all do this, I think as an individual, as ourselves, as a society, and for everybody, for our children, their future, for family, for all the community will be very, very good. So that's what the encouragement, and that's what I like to ask you to do this together. So thank you so much, and thank you for your attention, and I'm open for Q&A. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. Such a great, sharing about your personal story, Steve. Even if I already heard your story so many times, but every time I heard, I just got a new things, right? Especially when you say that the accents issue when you first came to United States, also, and later on you say in the real work performance, people really don't care about your accents. Actually, the people care about your attitude that you want to communicate, right, Steve?
Yep.
So that means you really prove yourself that even people like you, first generation and first came to United States under networking, but you can reach to a VP R&D just 2006, 14 years ago. For 14 years, that definitely is just a great achievement. So actually, I have a few questions, if you don't mind. Can I just share with your thoughts? I have some questions for you.
Sure, I'm more than happy to. Yeah.
Sure. So you already mentioned about your experience here, right? Then could you just share a little bit about the culture difference between East and West? So before you, I would like to give you a couple seconds to think about this question. I think this is very hard, but when you are thinking, actually, I would like to just ask the audience, if you have questions, please just type in the YouTube, the chat board. So I believe everybody can hear me, right? So Steve, you can hear me clearly.
Yeah, I can hear you clear. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So for the audience, I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. So for the audience who have questions, please just type the questions in the YouTube, the chatting board. Okay, and we will ask for you, please. So Steve, are you ready to share your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Wilson, you asked the question, or whoever asked the question, is a very big question, right? People always talking about East and the West difference. Maybe I will just focus on, I was talking about personal value, right? I maybe focus on this and then use this one, try to expand about what's the difference between the East and the West. In the East-wise, if you look at, we are very, very focused on hard skill. People care about what you graduate. I mean, if you're a national university, you think you are better than the private university. And then they will look at what you study. So we are extremely, because of our culture, we are very, very about the hard skill and then even language, and everybody want to learn English very early. But we never really focus on soft skill. I mean, soft skill, some people communication will look at that. Leadership management, very little people talking about. We never even think about AMP, attitude, mindset, and the passion. But if you look at West, they are focused a lot on that. And I think that's the thing we as engineer, or we as a community, Chinese community, I think we should think about that. I mean, today, if you got a chance to look at Silicon Valley, look at all these corporations, why we are not in the top management team? Well, we had the best hard skill. I mean, we can probably run base code. We probably can run, we can design the best design 3D. We can do all of them, and we work hard. By the way, I mean, we are only one work we can. But then why we are not in the time management? And we can hear, people will say, well, because sometimes the prejudice and all that, or sometimes because my communication is no good, my English is no good. I think it's a lot to do with our mindset, our inside there, and I think that's an area I personally feel very different. How the West value about they value a lot on the soft skill and AMP more than hard skill.
Yeah. It's great feedback about like how you you emphasize the difference between the East and West. Like the East, we usually just bias too much on the hard skill, but we ignore that in order to get involved and integrate into the West world. Actually, soft skill is more important. Doesn't mean hard skill is not important, but soft skill is even more important. Yep. If you want to grow here, right?
Yep. Yes.
So yes. So actually, we have another very interesting question from the audience. I believe this question is from very young generation. They want to know, Steve, what would you say to your younger self? So when you have a chance, how did you tell yourself?
Yeah,
like
I think extremely good question, right? And I would just tell you about one thing people ask me about in the college. I'm gonna go back to my college. My grade was so bad. Nobody believed I can come to USA. But one thing actually I did not know helped me the most was the training of rugby. I mean, I don't know the rugby is rugby is different to football, but it's really American football without a helmet. And so the training was difficult. They train you a lot of these endurance, and the teamwork, how to work with people, and how to, when you lose the game, how you keep your emotion right and strong that. So, if I got a chance to go to talk to younger Steve, and actually, by the way, I do this one, but the younger Steve right now is not me. It's the next generation of the younger Steve. In Taiwan, actually, I used to be in the mainland China also. I went to a lot of university, and I told them basically the same thing. Okay, let's start earlier. Hard skill is extremely important. You have to go to study hard, but let's go to train other things also. Okay.
Yeah.
Soft skill, get your emotional, get your physical, everything strong, because you need that. Okay? Because if you try to compete globally, especially for young generation, the person just ask a question. I think your competition is going to globally, and you're going to compete with a lot of people. You need that, and that's what I ask him to maybe train earlier on the soft skill and MP. Yep.
Yep. Great, thank you. Wow, so you really talked to young Steve. And also one of the audience really curious about that. How did you meet your 3 mentors you just discussed in your talk?
Well, because when I was, again, the good thing is I work hard, just like all of you. And then I deliver result. So they got the attention about my performance, but the important thing is I approach them. Right? For example, do you know how I become the VP? I went to talk to Jerry Gambaki. I say, Jerry, what else I need to do to become VP? That's what I asked him. And he said, Steve, why you ask that? I say, Jerry, because my colleague, PC guy, how come he become VP? I'm not become VP, right? I say, what? I ask him. I mean, it's openly say, what else I need to do? Where you think I need to improve to become a VP? And then he told me, no, Steve, we think you are ready. The timing is not quite right yet. We need to wait for Joe Weiss to retire, then you become VP. So basically, and then like Kevin Isa, I went to talk to him to say, Kevin, I like to improve. Can you be my mentor and do 360 for me? And he was a senior VP, and he just, he just retired from Seagate. So I approached him. So a lot of this kind of thing is don't wait for people. Even the grade then is there. Okay, if you don't ask for it, you will miss that. And they go to find that to talk to them. And by the way, just like I try to become a VP, if it's something you really want that. I think in our culture, maybe we don't do that, but I think in the Western culture, it's very, very normal to go to ask them, what else I need to do? Give me your suggestion, give me your advice. What else you think I need to do? And because I want to become VP, I want to do this job. They will be very openly to discuss with you.
Yeah. So you try to just encourage us that don't just sit there, work hard, and soon somebody will come here and say, I want to be your mentor, right? So it's not like that, right?
Yeah. Chinese say, 我们要伯乐去找千里马. Okay, you cannot be just 千里马, right? If you just 千里马, you will be always 千里马, a horse. You need to go to discuss with them. I think it's extremely important. By the way, this is a very positive way. It's not that you basically approach them to say, help me, give me advice. I like to do that, and where I need to improve. And you will be surprised. By the way, they will give you the good advice. They will even give you the support and to do that. And that's the reason I got a lot of training. I got a lot of training paid by Seagate and do the management and the leadership training because I asked for it.
Yeah, very, very good, very good. And we have some obviously engineer asking the engineering career questions. So I will give a couple seconds to think about these questions. And the question is, the audience say that one person tell me that if I want to be a manager, I should choose a high impact product. If I want to be a top individual contributor, I should choose a tech challenging project. What's your opinion? So I want to repeat again. It's a little bit long. Do you want me to repeat again the questions? So
yeah, I need to repeat it so I can go to
so
my
this comes with two parts. The question is, if I want to be a manager, people tell me I should choose the high impact product, means high visibility. Second question, the same along with this one is, if I want to be a top individual contributor. So the first one is manager. The second one is top individual contributor. People said I should choose the technical challenging project. What's your opinion about these two statements? So before you answer, so I'll give a couple seconds to think about this. I think that's a very tough one. So I like to talk to the audience at this moment that please go to the survey we have under the YouTube screen. There's some description underneath. And if you see the see more, please click it. You should see a couple links there. The first link, the survey. Please share your thought about this event. And we really want to know if any of you really have a passion and at least agree with our vision, want to join us to grow together, to learn together from somebody like Steve. So I'm gonna invite Steve in the future to join our leadership lecture. And instead of just like, he speak to everybody he listen, he will talk to you one-on-one, like I'm talking to Steve right now. Okay, so if you really like to grab the chance to grow, welcome to join us, a community member. Please go to the survey, just tell us what you want and how you think we can improve or do better for this event, okay? Thank you very much. So when you have chance, when Steve answers this Q&A, please go to the survey under this the YouTube screen. You should see the description. Thank you. So Steve, please.
Okay, whoever asked this question actually is really good. Today, the question was all really good. I think the advice people give to you, I think is right. If you want to become manager, you probably need to pick the so-called high visibility job. If you want to become the individual contributor, you want to go to take the technical challenge job. That is right. The person did not tell you is how to be successful. And either you want to become manager or you become the top individual contributor. You need to be successful. Actually, it's no different to what we discussed today about the soft skill development and AMP. Okay, some people will say, well, if I'm individual contributor, I don't really need that soft skill. I don't think that's right. If you think about the soft skill is communication, it's leadership, management, but the leadership could be coordination. It's a strategic thinking, how you think about, to do is execution, right? So yes, depends on what the career, and I think I would encourage everybody to think about what kind of career you want to be. I mean, not necessarily everybody want to become a managerial career. Actually, in the Seagate, we create two paths. One is people can go to managerial career. You can go to individual contributor. Indeed, before I was a VP, actually, I was a chief technologist in Seagate. But in order to be successful, the job function will be different. Yes, you want to be very visible project because that's how the usual managerial path. But in order to be successful, I would encourage everybody need to go to focus on soft skill and AMP, because all this one is the one determining factor on if you go to manager skill, how can you successful become manager, become director, become VP, and continue to go. If you want to become the individual contributor, how can you form the advisor engineer, senior advisor engineer, and then principal engineer, and then eventually become chief engineer, and all these kind of things are largely determined on, again, go back to I mentioned about how the skill, soft skill, execution, and then communication and all that.
Yep. Thank you. Definitely, that's a very tough question, right? And you just gave a very straight answer to the audience that, right, you're right, but you need to know how to make it successful, which is execution, right?
Right.
So, yes. And the next question is even harder. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so the audience assume you has interact with many people, okay? But they want you can still share some story on great comeback. So, for example, Steve Jobs, he got fired by the company and got into the deep impression, or divorced with a young kid, something like this in your career, and like got big hit, and then you come back to win the battle eventually. So, do you have any story to share?
Well, actually, I don't know what the great comeback, but I want to share you my own story, right? Actually, it was my great comeback. It was when I was in Taiwan, and people did not know was, after I graduated, I cannot come to USA because my grade was not good enough. I was not even the 2.0. So then what happened is I had to go to study to get a master's degree, so try to boost up the GPA. So when I was a senior year, I worked so hard. I did not even play the rugby. I was just committed to study. And then, I take the master exam. I go to two universities, one Cheng-Kung University, the other one Tsinghua University. And I was all accepted, but during the time they needed to have the oral exam, and they put it in the same day. So I had to make a choice which one I want to go. And I thought I was doing really good anyway. I was very arrogant. And I basically talked to Cheng-Kung University to say, hey, I'm going to stay here, but you need to give me the TA, provide all this money to me. Then, I will not go to Tsinghua University to take the oral exam. But then, turned out actually my written exam in Cheng-Kung University was not very good. So anyway, after everything finished, I basically have no school to go. I mean, it was such, right now, I was 22 years old, and the young people, it was such a big drawback, and such a big, because I need to go to Army. Suddenly I need to go to military service, and I was scared to death, right? But then, my parents in law told me is 用中文讲是塞翁失马焉知非福, right? And he said it's okay, go to Army, and you probably don't like it, but hey, go to train there. And that's how I go to Army. And during the Army, I come back to study again. I went to Taiwan University to get my master's degree. And then from there, then I come to University of Utah. So, a lot of you talking about the comeback. It's really, everybody will fail. If you want to fail early and fail hard, because you can remember all the time. I was so lucky I failed so early because I was so arrogant. I thought, I just studied 1 year. I even told my people, hey, you guys study 4 years. I studied 1 year. I was so good. But because of that, I don't cry. I was just suddenly realized I cry. I said, I need to go to Army. I am no school to study yet. I did not prepare for that. But everything turned out actually become good because, I learned a lot. And I started to learn, hey, Steve, being humble, okay? And don't take things for granted. And then again, later I learned in our life, we always gonna fail. And we won't fail, it's okay. Fail early, fail hard, but learn from there. And I think, you mentioned about Steve Jobs, you mentioned a lot of people, if you go look at, by the way, all the people, right now everybody talking about Elon Musk, and, go to look at their career. Believe me, everybody, they fail so bad. but then it's not how you fail. It's there how you react to your failure, how you come back, become stronger. And again, I want, the question asked is really good. I want to encourage you, especially when you fail, you will know what your character. When everything is good, you don't know how good you are. When everything starts to be tough, that's how I tell people, you will know how good you are.
Yep, exactly. Yes. So as you said, that encourage people to fail and fail early and fail hard, right? That's the takeaway I have just shared with the audience. And then the next question will be a little bit related to the pandemic. So the audience is really curious. Could you share being a VP during pandemic, right? Pandemic started like 2 years ago. How did you do the management? How did you manage your team, your people during pandemic? What adjustment did you have to make?
We were quite lucky because the people who work with me, in the Seagate, they've been working with me for many, many years. I mean, 10, 20 years. My direct report average is probably about 15 years. So we've been working together for many, many years. So and then even the one thing, I was quite, how to say, down to label, even the technician, and we have some operations, so we have some operators. Actually, they all know me, I was just, so during the pandemic, COVID-19, even on the video, we can communicate. So indeed, the efficiency of work and the development was not impacted much. But the internal, management, that's become challenging. But because we work together for many years already, we already have very good relationship already. Usually, if you know that if you build a team, usually that's how you build it. I mean, you start with, you meet the new people, and you start with a respect. Everybody all different. You need to know everybody has different opinion, different thinking, all this one. You may not be agree with them, but you start with a respect. Then you start to build relationship, and then eventually continue to build relationship. You will build a trust. When you build a trust, then management and all these handle people become quite easy. So my big challenge is, because of pandemic, then you lost a lot of personal touch. You all focus on his work. You need is, every day I will be in the video conference call talking about, hey, how the DOE design of experiment, how they run it, how the product qualification, what the issue and all that. We don't really have time to talking about USB. I will go to talk to them about, hey, how's your kids? How is it doing there? Everything doing okay? And do you have any issue? I know your son just went to college, and how they doing. Your daughter just graduated. And we don't have this kind of interaction, and I think that's a difficult part. So I would think, unless this organization been worked together for many years already, if it's just always use the Zoom meeting, and I think that's probably the big issue, because you cannot build a trust, you cannot build a strong team, and then when everybody just see on the, because we through the screen, because I think the trust, the relationship needed to go to very personal stuff. You will be surprised. Most of my, like Wilson talking about, all my team members know about my history, good or bad. My daughter, my child, this call, they probably know better than anybody else. They know all of that. And I also know, they will tell me about, some of them from mainland China, how the story, they come to USA, they share all this one with me. I know all the story also. Indeed, a lot of my talk, I will use their story also. So that's a challenging part.
Yeah. So pretty much because of the long-term relationship. So actually during the pandemic, the management adjustment is not that much, maybe just not have too much personal touch, but actually for communication wise, since you guys already know to each other so well, you don't really need to really just speak a lot, and you got to point to each other right away, right? I think that's what the point is. Yes. Okay. One of the audience actually liked the technique you mentioned about observing others who you admire, as you mentioned in your talk, right? But his question is, how do you ensure you could really learn from them, either by asking them become your mentor or just silently mimic the way they do it? So I repeat again. So how did you learn from your model, right? You either say, hey, do you want to be my mentor? Or you just silence, just observe and hold the time. Which one?
I would do that. I think depends. I would think. I think important thing you need to observe. Okay. Not only observe, you should go to practice to see how it works. Okay, I'm going to give you one example. One time in the Christmas time, I got a personal written note from my VP, Jerry Gambari. It's not even gift or handwriting, and his handwriting is not even that good. Man, I was so appreciated because I showed to my wife and my daughter. They were so proud of me because in that time I was just a first line manager. So I learned that. You know what I did? All the technician, engineer, when I accomplish something, I will handwriting for that. And I will handwriting like this. Say, okay, call me, because thank you for coming on the Saturday and Sunday. You work on this one. That's the reason our product, I just got a call from our customer, our product, because your testing, we passed their all the testing result. Thank you so much. And because of that, actually, I'm going to arrange dinner for two, you and your wife. And we arrange in this restaurant, we're going to have the car to pick you up to do that. So my point is, what I found was so powerful because one time the one person, I even forgot because I handwrite so many. One of the person I mentioned in my talk about Abibi, because he was trying to move the house, and then his wife will prepare something and say, hey, Abibi, there's something, somebody write something there. And then he take a look and say, oh, don't touch it. It's Steve wrote this for me. Okay. Okay, man, I forgot that. So he come to show me, he said, Steve, I want to friend that. Right? And he said, wow, this means so much to me. Because you know exactly what I did, and then you handwrite on that. So anyway, my point is, try to observe, but try to practice, because actually, if you're going to observe, when you observe, it means you can see the impact, you can see the result. Try to practice, because indeed, what the Jerry Gambari I learned from, observe from him, I try to magnify it. What I found is the lower level, the more appreciation you got. If you roll this one to VP director, they don't quite care. But if you write this one to technician, first line engineer, it's a better than stock option, because it just shows so much personal touch. So, and of course, if you see something a little bit more complicated and you practice and you did not see this, go ahead to talk to the person. And I think if we talk to the person, you will say, hey, Jerry, I see you wrote this, but I did that. How come does not work really good? Right? And I think this kind of conversation will be really, really good to help you. But I will really encourage the people, go to observe, but you can go to practice. And you will be surprised. You can do even better than the one you admire. Because, usually I use a triangle. I will ask people, go to practice, get a result, and then continue to modify, and go to practice again, and continue to turn, and then become your own skill set. And then it's going to be wonderful. If I got a chance, when we were talking about leadership management, skill set development, I can share with you a lot of story. How to reward people, you will be surprised. Reward is not just money and the stuff, a lot of way to do it, but that's just one example.
Definitely. As I mentioned to the audience, I'm gonna invite you to our lecture, leadership lecture which is only for the community member only, then there people can just directly ask you, interact with you. You have way more time without just the speech, just like directly share your thought and just hear other people's feedback, right? So your key is that you want the audience to form a cycle. Like when you learn something, practice and check and improve it, observe, practice and check, right? So it's like a triangle things. That's what I learned from you as well, being a mentee. Yes, so I just try to just review myself as well. And actually the other two questions, why I say two questions, because that really related to what you told me before when as a mentor. Remember you teach me about time management, like a number 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna ask you a question related to this one. Actually, this is from two audience. They ask a very similar thing, but different story. But let me finish these two questions, then you know why I say that. So first question is, what do you recommend that a young software engineer do in their free time after work and on the weekend? That's the first question. The second question is, what other activities does Steve do at monthly base besides the main job and the family commitment? So these two questions, even if it looks different, but actually they talking about the same thing you told me in person about time management 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So before you answer, so let me repeat again about what I ask people to just have a chance to see our survey, because we're really just as excited that to invite the older people who want to be our community members. So the next year, January, we already designed that leadership lecture. You're gonna have a chance like me, Wilson, to really talk to people like Steve, just like a one-on-one, like a Zoom talk directly, and you can have way more chance to grow yourself, okay? Instead of just like, just listen to one speaker talking to everyone like this. So, okay, so get back to you, Steve.
Okay, yeah, Wilson actually, by the way, I think these two person asked a really good question. Everybody faces the same problem. But whether you are a software engineer or you are a hardware engineer, I think it's the same, right? Wilson mentioned about, in one thing, actually, what I tell the people is, you can go to divide the thing, you are doing every day. You can divide to the two corner, two quadrant. Meaning is what is important and urgent, and what is not even important, not urgent, and what is the urgent, not important, and what is important is not urgent. So the answer is all you need to do really in the number 1 and number 4. What this means is you need to do the urgent and important. And if you are a software engineer or hardware engineer, well, every day you need to think about how to continue to deliver what your software skill set and trying to deliver to the company. Like myself, when I run in the company, every day I have meeting I need to run. I report that I need to go to qualify. I have the, all these email I need to go to finish and that. So this is number 1, urgent and important. I will focus on it. And then the other one we need to focus on, and the rest is the difficult one. Difficult one is important, but it's not urgent. And usually we don't do. So what is important and not urgent, right? For example, person also asked me, Steve, what do you do this? So important and not urgent, okay? Every day I exercise because I believe you need to go to be physically fit, emotional, and spiritually. So the one I teach in Israel, every day I do that. I try to learn soft skill. I ask to go to school training, and which is also, I believe is important, but then it's not urgent. It's for my career. So I would do all of that. And even if you're talking about volunteer work, I think it's important, but it's not urgent, but I do that. So every day I try to do is just do important, urgent, and important is not urgent. Then you have a question, say, well, what other thing you don't do? Well, for example, we have a lot of not important, not urgent. What is this one? We will be spend the time in internet and then social media, check with the people and all that, which is, we don't need to do that. And then the other one is, we spend a lot of time, is very urgent, but not important. For example, like I used to be in Seagate, I have a ton of meetings. If I'm going to go to a meeting, I probably cannot even go to men's room. But then I will look at every meeting was so urgent. But a lot of meetings are not even important. Right? So you can go to look at that, and then suddenly your daily, indeed, I will ask you to go to check it every day, what do you do? And then try to classify where they belong to it. And then really focus on that. One way to know when we training, what I was talking about, important and urgent is like an egg. Every day you need to lay an egg so you can eat an egg. And the one important not urgent, like goose. You need to grow its goose, become bigger and bigger, so its goose can lay the egg later on. If you don't do the number 4, your goose will become smaller and smaller, eventually will die. Because you're going to use up all the number 1. And that's what, but it's a really good question, and everybody face some problem because we will think about we don't have enough time. But if you go to start to look at what do you do every day, if you can go to divide to these 2 quadrants, you're going to find out actually you have a lot of time if you just do the 2 things. Yeah.
Yes. I believe that it's I already get that training from you, so definitely I know exactly what you're talking about. For those who first heard this time management 1, 2, 3, 4, the concept, the urgent, important, not important, not urgent, which is number 1 and number 4 individually. If you want to learn more, please just join us as community members. We welcome, just invite you only who want to be a community member to our leadership lecture. Steve will be one of our speakers in that series. So if you really want to learn more from Steve, definitely just join us. We will, and we have a series, a lecture for you to learn. So and once again, how to join this leadership group? We're gonna have the meeting invite, but that invite only sent to people who finished the survey, said you really want to join the community member, or you want to volunteer work, or you want to just learn more from our community. You want to grow with us, you want to help other people, then you got an invitation. So that's how you could learn more. So Steve, actually, before I let you go, I know it's very close to the end of the meeting. I just cannot just let you pass so easy. I want to ask you a very hard question. Just follow up your time management. So when you are in the meetings, okay, in the work meetings, but your wife call you, would you answer the phone? Do you think that's number 1, urgent and important, or important, not urgent? Tell me.
Well, it's a very good question. Okay, the reason I say good question is depends on your relationship. Right? By the way, people ask a question, and I used to be in the actually young people was asking, hey, Steve, if my girlfriend call, what should I answer? I say, well, again, depends on how this one. Okay, if you don't want his girlfriend, probably it's not important, not urgent, don't answer. Okay, but if the person going to become your wife, probably it's important, also urgent. Maybe you should answer right now. Okay, so again, all these how the good thing is on the time management, it also depends on your own judgment on that, right? So if my wife call me, yes, I will pick up the phone because it's important and urgent. Okay, otherwise, number 1, I probably not gonna meet when I came home. Number 2, I still need a wife. Okay, I need a relationship. But again, I think that's the kind of thing you can go to just look at yourself. Everybody is all different. Okay, some people don't think that exercise is important and not urgent, but depends. All depends on everybody. But I would suggest, you just like Wilson, you ask this question, go to classify yourself, and it's going to be interesting, right? And it really help you. I would say, help you try to screen out a lot of things you don't need to do. I used to be look at. I mean, I indeed same as you, when I manage in the Seagate, I see a lot of young engineers all on internet. And every day they tell me, oh, Steve, I'm so busy. I say, okay, good. Can you show me about how much time you spend in the internet? And I say, I believe this is all not important, not urgent. And I said, well, then you have a lot of time because I just check. You probably have 2 hours a year. But again, I think some internet could be important also because they could be doing some research and that. I'm not saying, but it's just a really good practice. It helped me personally a lot because I just like all of you. When I start to, for example, I become second line manager, third line manager. I have a lot of people. Then suddenly I realize I don't have enough time. I work, I have family, I have all this kind of thing. And this time management really helped me to go through that. Then I started to say, okay, I don't need to do this. This meeting, I don't need to do. I need to do. I'm going to share one story with you, but I don't want you to practice that because you could be in trouble. So one time my boss invited me to meeting. And this meeting is like exec level, is OVP above. But I attended this meeting before because of such a high level, I never even got a chance to talk. Right? So they're talking about, we a few senior VP. So I decided to not go because I feel this one is urgent, but it's not important. Well, turned out one time is somehow they asked me, hey, where is Steve? We want Steve input. And then my boss started to realize I was not in the meeting. So Mark, as you come to talk to me, say, Steve, you are not in the meeting. And I just told him, Mark, I'm going to be honest to you. I fear it's not important because I never was even needed to go to say something or participate in the meeting. I was just, most of the time, I just there to listen only. So that's the reason I practice the time management. I decided to not go. But if you want me to go, I can go. He said, oh, no. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a waste of time. But again, I just use this to practice. And then I started to find out, well, actually, when you do that, you got a lot of time. You can accomplish a lot of things. So my personal experience, yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be fantastic. That'll be fantastic. Thank you to pass a very tough question. I just give you the final exam. Sorry, I hope you don't make mad. So I just want to demonstrate to the audience that actually, Steve teaching, sharing his personal story, really, really, really great, really practical, and he has a passion to really grow people in the leadership. Steve, you told me, right? Leadership doesn't mean you are a VP or SVP. Just everybody is a leader, actually, yourself, right?
Everybody's a leader.
When people got influenced by you, you are a leader, right? So yes, actually, as I mentioned, promote the event before your talk, the leadership lecture. Once again, our January, end of January, very last week will be our first leadership lecture. That will be our first series one, the lecture, and that's only invite people who want to join our community member, right? Once again, and that will be a series. So Steve will be in one of that. And next January events, we're gonna invite our current president, vice president, and also the chairman for CIE San Francisco chapter. We're gonna have a fireside chat to just show those people want to show community members that how they grow in this community, why they have a passion to join, to serve people, how they all the way move from volunteer to the leadership in this nonprofit organization. We really, you really want to understand the CIE more, our vision more, welcome to join us. And a great leader like Steve, definitely one of the series I'm gonna just have created in the future next year. So once again, I have to thank Steve to have chance to share a wonderful story, and we're looking forward to your leadership lecture in the future. I believe you're gonna join me, right?
Yep. No, my honor. Thank you so much, everybody. Yep.
Yeah, thank you very much. So once again, if you have a chance, go to the survey, okay? And if you join us, we're gonna just send you the meeting invite next time. And we're gonna have the more the webinar regarding the technical services in the future. Whoever interesting CIE, come to join us, listen more about technical sharing and also the personal story sharing from the successful Asian American leaders. Okay, so I would like to say thanks everyone. It's time's up. It's actually 7 minutes more than the 9:30. Thank you. So I have to say thank you very much. So I think that's
Bye-bye.
about the end the event. Bye bye.